think I'm live. I don't have my preview yet. Let's see here. This is always an issue. I think I'm live. Let's see. Let me refresh this. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, we're live. So here is the topics we're going to cover today. I'm going to talk all about templates. I did a poll on YouTube and got a few responses, and 80% of the responses said that they want to hear about templates. So that's what we're talking about. And I have a product called the Template Masterclass that is a thing you can buy on Udemy, and it walks you through how to make templates, how to apply them, how to troubleshoot them, because templates have a lot of issues. There's a lot of nuances to how they work. And so I'm going to try to condense all that into today's talk, and feel free to drop your questions in the chat as we go. But yeah, these are the topics we're going to cover. The first one is the two types of templates, and let me just go into that. So the first type is you can think of as a container of layers. So this could be like B-roll, it could be GIFs, it could be any layers that you want to add to your project. You could do that. You could create a template for those and then add it to your project. The second type would be something that applies to the script layer, to the properties of the script layer. So this could be a certain level of zoom. It could even be an animation that creates a zoom. And it could be things like opacity. It could be anything that changes the layout properties of the script layer. So those are the two types. Ones that are like containers of layers, and ones that change properties of layers. Now, the second thing I'm going to talk about is the 4 methods of creating templates. And they're not truly 4 different ways. And I'll show you what I mean. Some of them is just a matter of copying layouts, and they're kind of like templates within a project. But then there's other ways that are truly creating templates, and we're going to talk about those. The third thing we're going to do is applying these, because sometimes you create your template, everything looks good in the template editor, but then you go to apply it and it doesn't behave how you expect. And then you're like, what the heck? What happened? And then lastly, we're going to take time for Q&A. But with that said, feel free to drop your questions in the chat at any time, just like it says down there. And we can divert in any direction. Nobody's joined yet, so if you're the only one listening, we can go in that direction and take this in whichever direction you want. And if you want me to create a template for you, feel free to send me you can send me a picture, you can send me some video, anything, and that can be the material that we work with as we're going along here. So now I mentioned there's two types of templates. So the first one is like a container of layers. So let me just say type 1, and then this is just a blank project. I'm going to go into my templates, and I'm going to go to my Descript Mastery folder of templates, and I'm going to apply this one that is my outro. So this is something that I apply to all my videos, and it happens at the last 5 seconds of every video. And what it looks like, if I open up my timeline, is this. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. If I play it, it's got a background, it's got a logo, it's got a website, and then a subscribe animation. 5 different layers. So that's what this template is. There's nothing in the script layer. There's nothing happening to the script layer. If I had another video in there, it wouldn't change the layout properties of that script. So that's the first one. That's the type 1. And let's call this the container of layers template. And these are much simpler to apply and understand, so that's a good starting point. Then we're going to go to the type 2 ones. Type 2, which we'll call layout property And with this one, if I have a video, this one's gonna be a little harder to demonstrate. I'm gonna try to make up something on the fly here. So let's say that I have this added, and by default it adds it as a new layer, but I'm gonna put that into my script by right-clicking on it, say include in script, and now it's on my script layer. And if you don't understand the distinction between script and the supporting layers, the layers above it, that's a very important thing to understand. The script layer is what gets transcribed, and you can think of this as your most important layer. This is the layer that if you make changes to your transcript, if you have words here and you delete some words, it's not only going to delete it here on your transcript, it's going to delete it from this layer and everything above it. And then there's a few other things that make the script layer unique. But one of them is how our templates will affect it. So if I go back to my templates and I go to, I know which one I can add. These ones that are about zooming in, and actually I'm not going to use those. I'm going to do, I have this thing called Zoom Pack, and you can download these for free on descriptmastery.com/templates. And these are just like they're described, like landscape zoom. If you hover over it, you can see what it does. So it does a zoom in right at the first second. This one's a portrait zoom. This one's a screen record zoom in. This one's a webcam zoom in. So it takes my webcam from the bottom, makes it big. Webcam zoom out to circle. And then this one is for an interview. So if you have two people in one video, then this will be what I would use for that. And so this would zoom into just the person that's on the left side. This one would be zoom into the right side. That one is like a pan from the person on the left to the person on the right. I couldn't tell from the preview. Oh, that one's the opposite thing. It's pan right to left. And, oh, that one's pan right to left. I need to work on my labeling here. So anyways, let me do this one. So when I apply it, it's going to apply to the script layer. It's called landscape zoom. It's going to apply to landscape orientation. So if I go back, now watch. So that zoom, that animation has been applied to this because I applied that template that had it. And here it is. I can see it. I could change it. If I change it here, it's not going to change my template. So templates are starting points. If you use it, then if you use it, like remember in here, where was it? The Zoom Pack. It's applying to this, like the picture of the reeds in the lake in the template itself. But once I apply it to the script layer of the project that I'm in, it then applies it to that layer. And so yeah, it doesn't matter what your template, the point of template is their starting points. They're presets that apply to the particular layers. And so, yeah, so the layouts, it added this animation, and I could then change this, and it won't affect my template. I could make it so it zooms in more. And if you're not familiar with animations, you can go check out my videos about those, where I talk about how to read these, what these keyframes are, and how to set them. And let's see how this looks. So it's a lot slower now than it originally was. Let me make that a little shorter. There we go. And okay, so that's the second type of layout. Now, the next thing is the 4 methods of layouts, or templates, excuse me. And what I mean by the 4 methods is the 4 methods of creating them. So if I do, let's call this method 1, and I'm going to call this copy and paste layouts. So let me see if I think I had something pulled up. If I go to projects, I was demoing this one last week. Let's do, I want a landscape version. just gonna do. Okay, I'm just gonna copy it from this other video, this other project, and I'm gonna paste it into this new one. And the method you're gonna learn right now is copy and paste layout. And it's not a true template because you're not taking it from the template folder, but it's like a template within this project. And if you see here, the scene, the view changes based on the current speaker. So we got this guy, David, and then we got this guy, Neil, and it changes each time the speaker changes. But there's also this first one, there's this third view, which has both of them together. And what I could do is I could take any of these, like let's say I want to, there's a part where they're laughing, one of them cracked a joke, I want to show them both laughing. I could find the scene where they're both reacting. So in this case, that's scene number 1. I can right click on it. I can say copy layout. And then right here, I see him laughing. So that's scene number 3. I'm going to right click on it and I'll hit paste layout. And it pastes that complete layout for both. These are 2 separate video files. And it makes it duplicates that layout without changing the content. Like he's still telling a joke and he's still laughing. It's still the videos in sequence, but it just copied the layout properties of those layers. So that is like a template within a project. Not a true template, but that's what it is. Okay, so that was method number 1. Method number 2, and I'm just going to duplicate this. So let's delete this. And I'll call this method 2. And this is to create a layout, or a template rather. Create template from inside of a project. Okay, so we have the same thing. We have scenes where one speaker is full screen. They alternate as they change with the flow of the conversation. And then there's a couple scenes now where they're both in the view, they're both reacting. Let's say I wanted to make this a template and use this for future videos. Well, what I could do is right click on it as I did before, but instead of saying copy layout, I can do save to template, just like that. And it's going to ask me where I want to save it. So if I have an existing folder, like this is a client, so if I wanted to put it into his particular folder, I could do that. If I wanted to create a new one, I could say create new template. And adding scene to template, it's going to open up in a new window, which it just did on my other monitor. And there we go. So, and then it's going to ask me to title it again. There's a title here. And this looks, here's what's confusing about templates, is this looks exactly like a project. The only thing that is different about it is, right here it says you're editing a template, that orange bar, so it lets us know. But also this, the 4 squares at the top here. And then also in the top right, it says publish template instead of just publish, as we can see with our regular project. And so I could take a look at this. I could make sure that everything looks how I want. And this is only like a fraction of a second. It's really short. But that's fine because what this template is it's the layout properties. And what I mean by that is if I click on one of these layers and I look at the layout, it's these, the X and Y, the height and width, all of this stuff is what's going to be our template. And so if I apply this to a future video where I have 2 separate video tracks like this, it's going to look just like this. And of course, it's kind of boring. I could add a background. I just click the plus button to make it a white background. I could pull up the color wheel and do any color I want. I could do a image from the stock footage. I could come into the videos. Let's add like a little sunset. You could add your logo. Like, it doesn't matter. You could do anything you want here, and it's all going to go into our template. And let's just give that a moment to load. It's being slow. Media added, but I don't see it yet. Okay, there it is. So then what I can do is send it to the back. So if I click on these three dots and I do layer order, and I could send it back one layer at a time, or I could send it all the way back with send to back. And there it is. Now we have a nice background. And I can make this opaque right now, or less opaque. Right now it's 100% opaque, meaning it's fully visible. I could hide it with this eyeball. But I'm gonna make this like 75%. And then I'm gonna change that background so it's the red is showing through and it looks kind of, well, actually that's not bad. It looks sunsetty, it looks natural. Now it looks more like a morning sun. I want like an orange. That gives it like a sunsetty hue. Okay, so whatever I want to do, I can do. And then when I'm ready to save this template, I'll need to label it in two places. So I can label it here. Let's call this template from project. And then I'm going to go to publish template. And it asks me to save it one more time. So I'll give it the same name. Try to be as descriptive as possible, because if you get dozens or hundreds of templates like I have, then it can get very confusing. And so then you save it into either private, meaning only you have access to it, share with drive, which means that any editors that have are sharing your drive will be able to access it, and share publicly, which means that it'll be searchable by Google and you could post it on your website, people could download it, that type of thing. Which, again, another plug, you can find free templates on descriptmastery.com/templates. So I'm gonna save it as private, and then I'll hit publish template. And as soon as it's done, this template is now usable. So if I go back to my project, then I can go to a scene, like any scene in this video. Let's do this one right here, scene 81. Oh, you know what? That's not the copy. Let's go back to this one. So yeah, so we have our, let's just pick a scene with just one speaker showing. If I want to apply that template, I'd go to the four square icon, and I go back, and what did I name it as? I put in private, and template from project. This was it. So these are folders. This first layer is like folders, and you can have multiple templates inside of it. So if I do template from project, I only have one template inside of it, and it's not showing me a preview yet. I think it's still processing, but it should still work. So as soon as I click on it, there we go. The properties from that template have now been applied to our video. Okay, so that was the second method of creating templates. Let's talk about the third method. And I'm just gonna, duplicate that. And then I'm gonna call this just method 3. Method 3. And this way that I'm gonna show you, let me see, did I close my template window? No, there it is. I got a lot of stuff open. Okay, so from the workspace view, which is the main view you get when you first open up Descript, here on the left where it says templates, you'll click on that and then hit new template. And you can see I have a bunch of different stuff in here. And remember, this is kind of like the project. This is like your folder. This is where you can have multiple templates inside of here, but this is the way to start a template from scratch. So again, it looks like a project, it's empty, and I can start adding whatever I want. So for those of you who were here at the beginning of the live stream, I talked about the two different types of templates. There's the containers and there's the layout property templates. So let's call this let's do a layer template. And I'm gonna go to like something, let's do like a GIF. Let's do a video actually, like this one. Okay, so now if I look at my timeline, there's that layer, and it can not just be video layers. It could be an image layer. It can be an audio layer. It can be a combination of those, but whatever I put into it is going to become my container that gets added to all of them. So if I go to like add a sound effect, like cinema drum hit, there it is. I don't know if you're able to hear that, but that can become, that's something I'm gonna put in my template, and I'm gonna hit publish template. I'll call this layer template, and I'll hit publish template. Okay, and then I'll go back to my project, which is here, and I'm gonna apply that. Hopefully, if you're following along, you can predict how this is gonna work. It's simply going to apply the layers that I just created. Where did I save it? Once again, template, layer template. So I'll click on that, and I'll click on it to apply it. Click twice, make it bigger, and you can see it just added those two layers above what was previously showing there, which was the speaker kneel. So that was a sound layer and a video layer. So back to our templates. That was a layer template. Now let's do a property template. So if I want to manipulate the property, create a template that manipulates the property of the script layer, what I need to do is add a layer to the script. So I'm going to add a video, like, let's do this one. It doesn't matter because as soon as I apply it, it's going to apply to the script layer in the project I'm applying it to, not whatever's in the template. So the template is a starting point. So if I expand my timeline, there is my layer, but what I'm going to do is right click on it and say include in script. And now that is my script layer. So whatever I do to this layer, the properties that I change here are going to be in effect when I apply this. So right now it's 1920 width by 1080 height. And I'm just going to like make this a lot bigger. I'm going to make it 3840. So it's zoomed in 2x. And that's it. That's the only change I'm going to make to this script layer. And I'm going to call this properties. Oops, hang on. Properties template. And then I'm going to publish it. Call this properties template. And I'll put it in private. That's fine. Publish changes. And give it a moment to finish loading until you get this, till this thing stops. Once that says synced and backed up, that's when you can use it. And so what I'm going to do is come back to here, and this is my script layer. This is the visible script layer. So let's see what this does. This is the one I just made, properties template. See that? It zoomed in 2x on the script layer only. So hopefully that makes sense. That is the 4 methods of creating templates. We covered the 2 types of templates, the 4 methods of creating them, and then we even got into applying them already. So we're way ahead of schedule. If anyone has questions, please drop them in the chat. If you want me to make a template for you, I can do that. You can send me your logo or a video. So yeah, let's talk more about applying them, because that's where things get dicey, where things get strange, and there's a lot of nuance. If I took, okay, so there's the template that I just applied. It zoomed in the script layer. If I take something that has a different script layer, like here, if I apply it to this one, the properties template, it took the other speaker and it made him bigger. And the layer order changed so that he's covering up that nature scene that was there. So sometimes things like this happen where the templates don't behave how you might expect. And in that case, you can troubleshoot it from the layers here. You can, okay, I see what happened. It covered up the breathtaking scenery is what it's called. But Yeah, so that's the thing that is like really trying to drive home is the layer that the template applies to is the layer that will be affected. And then it might cause your other layers to go askew. So to the extent possible, if you have like, for example, I have some webcam templates, Descript Mastery, webcam, bottom left, this one here. You can't see the preview of it, but what this is it puts my webcam into a circle, it applies green screen, it applies studio sound, and then it puts me into the bottom left corner with my screen as the main portion of the video. But if you have two speakers, you have two video layers of two different speakers, it's going to behave erratically. It might turn one of them into that webcam, it might turn one of them into the screen. Let's see what happens if I apply this template. So, yep, there it is. It turned one speaker into the template in the bottom left, or the webcam in the bottom left, and it turned the other one into what would be the screen if this was a screen recording. And you can see it's automatically applying green screen, eye contact, all that stuff, because that was part of that template. Okay. What else can I show you? So the layer ones are obviously a lot more easy to understand. Like something like this YouTube like and subscribe button. When I click on it, I have two different ones. I have one that's in the bottom left, one that's in the bottom right. If I click on the bottom right one, it just adds those layers. It didn't mess with or manipulate in any way the properties of the script layer. So these are much easier to understand, is those the layer type of templates. Okay, so I have gotten 0 questions in the chats. Please give me some topics to talk about. And otherwise, I don't know what else to do. I might wrap up early here. I made this one last time. Last time I talked about templates. Templates are a hot topic on these. Let me do that one actually. SJG, there it is. So this one added, it's a layers template, added a background, and then 3 different title layers. So each one pops
because if you think about it this way,
like so. What else can I show you? You know, I'm out of ideas. I know this is a thrilling stream, but I was hoping for some questions like I usually get. So in absence of that, I'm just going to pitch some of my other resources. And one of them is a templates masterclass. So it's everything you learned here today, everything that was covered here today in a course format. And I'll drop a link to that in the chat. And it's got some projects that you do along the way so that you can practice each of these different types of templates as you go. And as with anything, as with learning anything, you just got to do it. You just got to apply them, see if you get the effect you want. If you don't, like I said, I recommend check the layers, shift things around, hide things, unhide things until it's looking how you want. And the more complex, the more issues you're going to have. But in general, you want to match the template type with the project that you're applying it to. So if that means you have 2 different video layers. Make sure your template has 2 different video layers. Yeah, I think I've driven that point home. Let's see here. Yeah, so I just dropped the Udemy chat or Udemy templates masterclass into the chat. I also have descriptmastery.com, which is this. And this is where the main course lives. So if you go to products, course, you can get the full course here, which includes the templates masterclass. So the thing I just showed you on Udemy, that's included as part of this bigger package that goes into all of Descript's features and is, it's a very long course, and it's got 100 plus lessons on core features, then the templates masterclass. And then it's got these half-hour to hour-long workflows where I show you specific things like planning, executing, and editing a squadcast call for a podcast, audio-only podcast editing, talking head podcast editing, and so on. And then the last portion of it is version updates, where every single time that Descript updates, which is about every other week, I do a video lesson on that to just show you what's changed in the UI, if there's new features, and how that might affect your workflow, if it does. And it often does. I'd say every month, Descript, something happens to Descript that changes, a hotkey changes, or the position of a button changes, or a new feature gets added. And so this is a living, breathing course. And then the main thing, obviously there's a lot of people enrolled in the course, but then there's also tutoring. And this is even more popular than the course. You can book session with me one-on-one, and we can talk about your specific workflows, getting you started as a creator on YouTube, getting started with a podcast, anything you want. You can book a package, or you can book just one, as well as if you just have like a quick technical support question, just like you feel comfortable with the tool, but there's just like a couple things you're stuck on, or maybe you're transitioning from Adobe Premiere or another software, then I also offer these 30-minute quick sessions. Okay, and then there's a templates page. So this is where all the templates live. I have free templates that you can download. And these are all the templates that are used on my YouTube channel, as well as the course. There's 35 different templates in there. There is a Netflix subtitle template, which is just, it looks exactly what it sounds like. It just looks like the Netflix subtitles. There's the Zoom pack, which we saw today earlier in this live stream, where it's just different levels of Zoom that you can apply to your videos. Those are, of course, properties templates. And then there's some for interviews, basic interview type of templates, which we covered today. And YouTube like and subscribe buttons, B-roll title screens, and my top 10 sound effects that I use. These aren't like my sound effects, they're Descript sound effects, but I made them into templates because I use them all the time. So something like a mouse click, I can just click on it and apply it without having to go through searching through the B-roll to find the exact same mouse click that I use in all of my videos. And then same thing with like those white arrows, those animated white arrows. I use those to point out things. So I say, click on this button, and then I put in that arrow animation to show you exactly where that is. And then you can order custom templates. If you don't care about any of this, you don't want to learn it yourself, then I can make a template for you. I could do YouTube intros and outros, text styles for captions. Those can be templates as well. Didn't even talk about that. It could be a screen recording layout. Talk about that a little bit, where it could put your webcam in the bottom left, could apply green screen, studio sound, all of that stuff automatically. Yeah, whatever you need, you can just fill out this order form, and then I'll be able to make those. And there's also a blog on here where you can find different articles, different how-tos for commonly asked questions that I get. I do editing, so you can find me, you can hire me for editing if you want. And that is a service that I offer. So descriptmastery.com, I will leave it in the chat. And yeah, sorry this wasn't the most exciting one. I was hoping we'd get some people to join us, but this replay will go out, and thanks for those who did join. Talk to you later.